All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome tonight to our virtual Girl Scouts, where we are committed to making sure that even though we're not together, we are still connected in this together. My name is Crystal Taylor. I'm the Troop Experience Manager for Girl Scouts Carolina's Peaks to Piedmont Council. We're located in the 40 counties of Western North Carolina, where we are having the most torrential downpour of rain right now. So go ahead, snuggle up with your favorite blanket, as tonight's topic is Wellness Wednesday, where we're joined once again by our amazing community partner, Kellen Foundation, who is committed to being with us, to sharing how to make sure that all of us are well throughout not only this COVID time, but throughout your life, being better people, stronger inside and out. And tonight, I'm going to introduce once again Emily to you all so that she can share with you our special guest for tonight. Emily?
Hi, everyone. So like Crystal said, my name is Emily and I'm with the Kellen Foundation. I'm sure many of you have learned this by now. Just a little bit again about the Kellen Foundation is we provide therapy to those specifically in the triad, but recently it's been everywhere due to our virtualness in a sense. We do everything from peer support to group therapy to individual therapy to family therapy to just about everything. So we are doing some virtual villages, which are basically some support groups. So if you are finding that throughout your week you need a little bit extra support, feel free to look us up on our Kellen Foundation page, and there'll be some links to some different groups. It's everything from college students to high school students to some parents, some teachers. If you are a nurse or a doctor or medical person, basically essential worker, we have support groups out there if you need some extra care. So now I'm going to introduce Jessie, who will be more than informative for all of you, and she's going to share some of her expertise and knowledge and all the good stuff. Go ahead, Jessie.
Hey everyone, how are you tonight? So my name is Jessie, and I'm one of the therapists at the Kellen Foundation. And my expertise is working with children, families, and parents and caregivers to really help families work through any sort of trauma that they might be experiencing, or any other sort of life circumstance or mental health concern, like anxiety, depression, ADHD. So tonight I'm going to be sharing with you a bit about emotion coaching. And Crystal, I'm going to need permission to share my screen, please.
There you go. Sorry about that. And as she is pulling up her presentation, make sure that if you have any questions as we're going along, to feel free to post those below in the comment box. I will be taking all of your questions, comments, or concerns at the end today.
All right, so the topic for tonight is going to be how to support youth emotionally. And usually I have these conversations with caregivers, parents, but tonight I really want you to take this from a lens of any sort of adult role that you play in a child's life or a youth's life. You can use these skills with them. It doesn't have to mean that you're their parent or caregiver. So this might be troop leaders, this could be church leaders, this could be therapists, teachers, whatever roles you play with any sort of youth, you can use these skills to help them. So as I have already shared with you, I'm a therapist at the Kellen Foundation, and I've been there for about 3 years working with families and children. So first, we'll just start by defining emotion coaching. And emotion coaching is a 5-step method developed by Dr. John Gottman. And he is just an absolute amazing person that has done so much research, and he's actually a clinician as well. And his focus is really on relationship building and what makes relationships sustainable and healthy. Most of his work is within family systems. So that'll be, husbands, wives, between any sort of marital arrangement, and then between caregivers and children. So feel free to look up their information on the Gottman Institute. But basically, he developed this 5-step method on how to help children work through their own emotions and in the most effective way. And so the reason that this matters is when caregivers or any adult uses emotion coaching, they learn about emotions in a healthy, children learn emotions in a healthy way. They learn how to do better in school, they make stronger friendships, and they might even get sick less often. And this is because our mental health is so connected to our physical health. So the more emotionally unwell we are, the more we might have stomach aches, headaches, heartaches, and that really goes a lot for children. Oftentimes when they're feeling unwell emotionally, it really manifests in their body. So they might often complain about having a lot of headaches or stomach aches. So these are the 5 steps, and we'll go into each one in more depth. But the first one is to become aware of emotions. The second is to connect to your child. The third is to listen to your child. The fourth is to help the child name their emotion. And the 5th step is to find a solution. At the very end, I'll go over a few different coping skills you can use with children, just as kind of an overview to get you started on that. So step 1, becoming aware of emotions. I think this might be the hardest step within emotion coaching, because not only are you identifying the child's emotion, but you're identifying your own. So let's say that, this is a caregiver-child dynamic. You're at home, child is, having a tantrum, they're throwing things. This is asking you to look inside and say, how am I feeling right now? Which is incredibly hard to do when your child is throwing a tantrum. So it's asking you to stop, pause, before you react, notice what you're feeling. So think about how you can calm down before you even begin to have a conversation with the child. And this can be for teens too. Teens, we know their emotions can be very fleeting and they can go up and down as it's just normal for their hormones and where they are in life. So it's important that you have ways to cope with your own emotions, just as the foundation to doing this. So it's important that if it's appropriate that you share with your child and start to model the ability to identify emotions. So let's say I'm having an argument with my child and they're having a tantrum and I'm starting to become angry, right? I might take a second, calm down, and I might say, you know what, I'm starting to feel a little angry right now, so I'm going to take some deep breaths. And I'm modeling that for the child. And in that same moment, I'm also calming myself down before I react to his emotions. So step 2 is going to be to connect with your child. So once you've calmed yourself down, you're going to go up to your child and you're going to take their emotions seriously. Oftentimes we tend to dismiss children and teenager emotions because we feel like they're not quite valid. And maybe we don't mean that, but sometimes it comes off that way. I see this a lot with parents of teens. They'll say, well, it was a 1-week relationship, how heartbroken can they actually be? And in actuality, they can be very heartbroken. They're only just learning how to deal with difficult emotions, whereas we as adults are a bit more skilled at this. So really connecting to them, validating their emotions, and taking them seriously, acknowledging that these are real and intense emotions for the child. So you want to encourage your child to talk more about their feelings, and this is going to be hard to do if you're talking a lot. So we want to listen more and talk less. We want to ask open-ended questions, just reflecting like, oh, that makes you really sad when that happened, instead of judging them for the way that they feel, like, oh, it's okay, get over it, or, it'll all be okay, it was just whatever, We want to really validate what their experience is. And it might mean that if you have a smaller child, you get on their eye level, kind of like the gentleman in the picture is doing. We want them to feel respected and like what they're feeling is important. Step 3 is going to be listening to your child. So listening to the way that they talk and listening to what the words that they're saying is, as well as what their body language is doing. So if you notice that they're very shut off and if their head is down, that might give you some cues for what emotions they're feeling in that moment. So the more that you can listen, the more that they know that you're paying attention and they feel respected and validated by you. And again, try not to judge them or criticize them for what they're experiencing. Oftentimes we might find that what they're experiencing is different from what we're noticing in them. So if they're having an anger outburst, we might think they're just being angry, they're feeling anger, but it might be that they're disappointed. Underneath anger, there's a lot of different feelings that a child can feel. So just being open to whatever it is that they do share with you. Research shows that it's important to understand the emotion before you give advice on the behavior. So, and that's because we want to really understand the emotion, because the behavior might be a bit misleading to us as caregivers. Step 4, name the child's emotion. And so this is going to take some skill on the caregiver or adult side to really know a variety of different emotions. Oftentimes, we get stuck in this mentality of saying, oh, we're good. And I like to challenge the children that I work with to give me a word other than good, because that's just autopilot. Even if they're feeling sad or disappointed or worried, they'll still say, oh, I'm good today. So the way that you can do this for yourself and just in your family is you can play games about feelings. You can use feelings charts. You can find those on Google. And they even make ones with emojis, which young kids and teens like because it's more relatable to them. And even for your own self, they make, adult feeling charts that really give some nuanced feeling words for the way that you might be feeling. And again, remember that's important. Before you even address the child's emotion, you're addressing your own. So being able to name yours is going to be just as important as naming the child's. All right, so those are just ways that you can expand your vocabulary. So you're going to help the child identify the emotion before the child can even talk. And so you're going to use your body language, their body language, I apologize, their body language to really help you with those cues. So research shows that our body language is the main way that we communicate how we're feeling and what we're experiencing. So again, if your child is crossing their arms, their head is tucked down, you might get a feeling that they're, shutting you out. They might be feeling sad. They might be feeling angry. And so just using that as a cue for what's going on inside. Talk about emotions like feeling happy, sad, and angry, and helping when they're happening and helping them name them. If you can create a wide range of emotions throughout the day with them, that would be great. Again, trying not to get trapped in happy, sad, angry, good, just really deepening that. And avoid telling children what they ought to feel. Oftentimes we're told, don't cry about it, it's okay. It's really important that we allow all feelings. All feelings are good feelings. I know oftentimes we kind of create a dichotomy of feelings are good or they're bad. And in reality, feelings teach us very important values. They teach us to be motivated to change. They teach us to connect with others, and they protect us. They're a survival skill. So when we're feeling anxiety, it's because we're feeling in danger. So it's not that we want to erase those difficult feelings, but find better ways to cope with them. Model identifying your own emotions, as we've kind of talked about already. Children really learn by watching and copying what adults do. We can say this all day, but if we're not doing the same and we're not modeling the same, our children probably won't pick up this skill. So just in your day-to-day, acknowledging what it is that you're doing to cope. So if it's taking deep breaths, you show your child how you do that. If it's taking a second to step outside and cool off before you have a conversation, it's okay to model that too. Even if you're happy, saying, I'm going to go on a walk today, and that makes me feel happy. Just kind of connecting behaviors to emotions will really help a child out. Step 5, you want to help them find a solution. So once you've had this meaningful conversation with them where you're validating, you're listening, and you're helping them identify what's going on, you want to help troubleshoot with them. Say, okay, so now that we know that X makes you sad, what can we do if X happens again? And so you might want to take a look at what kind of coping skills the child already has in place, whether that's, it is deep breaths, or it is going outside for a second to cool off, or playing a game, just helping them troubleshoot what will be helpful next time, and helping them link maybe a few different emotions to different coping skills. And you can do the same for yourself as well. Think about it. If you're feeling angry, you might not do the same thing as to when you're sad. So if I'm angry, I might want to scream into a pillow. If I'm sad, I might want to hug my dog. So it might be different things that you use to cope with different emotions. So helping a child by either making a chart or some sort of visual aid, if they're younger, could be really helpful. For teens, they make all sorts of apps where you can help them, where they can start journaling how they're feeling or logging. There's even mood trackers. So each day you put in how you feel, and it shows you in different colors how you've been feeling. And it tracks it over a month. So there are different ways to learn these skills, but it's really important that there's a solution at the end, because that gives children hope, and that kind of helps seal that conversation in that moment. And with this, you want to encourage the emotion, but set limits on the behavior. Of course, we don't want children or teens just doing as they please. That wouldn't be very helpful or safe for anybody. But just saying something like, it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to throw objects at your sibling. Or it's okay to feel sad, but it's not okay to lay in bed for a week on end. And just kind of validating where they're at, but also challenging them, because that's how they grow. So this is one skill that I like to use with kids, and even myself, anywhere from kids to adult children, myself included. This is called a grounding technique, and we're using our surroundings and the present moment to feel connected to ourselves and our surroundings. Oftentimes when we're feeling emotions like anxiety or worry in general, we're so caught up in our heads. Our mind is kind of like, I think about it almost like a river, and it's rushing water. And sometimes we just need to slow it down. And so this is one of the skills I like to use to slow my own emotions down. And it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're using our 5 senses to establish safety and bring you to the present. So what you do is you name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And so I'm happy to model this for you very quickly. So 5 things I can see right now are the screen in front of me. I see my dog, I see a lamp, I see the window, and I see my keys on the wall. 4 things I can feel is I feel my glasses on my hand, I feel my earrings on my cheeks, I feel the softness of my cardigan, and I feel the blanket under my feet. 3 things I can hear. I hear the rain, I hear the AC, and I hear my baby in the far distance, in the other end of the house. 2 things I can smell. I can smell the laundry I did a little bit ago, and the fresh air coming through the vent. And then 1 thing I can taste is the orange I had right before doing this with you all. And so you can do this for yourself before you help the child ground. You can do it with your child. You can do it together. You can always do this in your mind, or you can do it out loud. So that's one technique. And then the last one I kind of wanted to share with you all is deep breathing. I know a lot of us talk about mindful breathing or taking deep breaths or meditation, and there really are some benefits to doing this. It's not that we all just want to be Zen yogis, with no stress. This really does affect our body in a positive way. It helps us relax. It lowers the harmful effects that the stress hormone has on our body. It lowers your heart rate. It helps lower your blood pressure. And it helps you cope with symptoms of any disorder, if you do have a disorder, or, if you're just struggling with difficult emotions, this can help you as well. And so the way that I like to think about deep breathing is I want to breathe in for 4 counts, hold my breath for 2, and breathe out for 6 counts. And you do this several times over and over again. And it doesn't really matter how long you breathe in for or out for, as long as your breath out is longer than your breath in, because that's what tricks your body into feeling relaxed. So just keep that in mind. Of course, they also make a lot of apps on how to do this. Sesame Street has been doing great videos to help children with skills like deep breathing. So there are tons of resources out there for these coping skills. All right, everybody, thank you for listening. I'd love to take any questions you have, any comments you have at this time.
Okay, I will kick us off with some questions. As you were talking about finding a solution, you talked about you don't want them to have inappropriate or hurtful behaviors. So how would you define what's inappropriate? Because we want them to have the space to deal with their emotions however they need to. And I definitely understand the part about you don't want them to hurt anybody else or themselves, but what other things would be a line in the sand of, yes, stay in bed tonight, but not in bed for a whole week?
Right. And that's such a hard line to draw. I think it really depends on the family. I think it depends on the person. So, you definitely don't want a child or a teen disrupting any sort of, or destroying any sort of property that you guys might have, like drawing on the walls or scratching tires, anything like that. But I think just being honest with yourself and the child, saying, I realize you're going through some really heavy emotions right now. If what you need is to lay in bed tonight, please feel free to do so. And then the next day, maybe having a conversation. So do you feel in your heart that it's really beneficial to you to lay in bed today? Do you feel like that's going to help you grow and get through this? And oftentimes kids and teens will be honest with you if you just have that open dialogue and give them choice. That's really what children and teens are looking for, is to have choice and a voice. So the more we can have that open dialogue, I think you and your family or whoever it might be will come to that conclusion together.
Well, I don't see any questions out there, so I'm going to keep asking questions.
Okay.
Another thing that I was listening to as you were presenting is having the adults to but share their emotions openly with their children so that they can see how it is, to what the emotions means, how you respond to it. So are you then saying it's okay to show our raw emotions to kids, or should there be a boundary because there's some emotions that we don't want to display in front of young people?
I think it's important to model raw emotions to children with limits. If you are fighting with your spouse that's just an example. If you're fighting with your spouse and it is a very heated argument without respect toward one another, don't model that for your child. That is not the right thing to model. Mm-hmm. If you're having a healthy argument, I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it exists. If you're having a healthy argument with someone where you're respectful, but you're firm, I think that is appropriate to show to a child. If you're really deeply sad, that is okay to show to a child, but remember the part about hope and solution. So you don't want to just be weeping, and then make the child feel like they have to rescue you. That's where the modeling comes in, where you say, I am so deeply saddened by this, and that's okay. We all have emotions. And what I do when I feel deeply saddened is XYZ. And that models to them, it's okay to have that emotion, and emotions come and go. I'm not stuck here.
That's good. Thank you for that. I don't see any others. Emily, did you have any?
I did, actually. I know there's a lot of troop leaders potentially watching too. So I guess what would be the best way to model between two children who have heated like feelings towards each other, or one made the other very sad, how would you balance that as a mediator and modeler for like those children?
I'm thinking on my feet for this one because I think there are different ways you could do it. You could, if the children are willing to both have a conversation together, having them talk it out and mediate, you know, you can even use a pencil. Sometimes I do this with couples therapy or family therapy. Whoever's holding the pencil can talk, the other people cannot. So giving the pencil to one child and saying, all right, please share with us using I language, how you feel right now. And then they'll share, and then you'll give it to the other child, and then you have them come up with a solution together. If they're at the point where they're not willing to have that conversation yet, if you can have someone else jump in to help validate the other child's feelings while you're validating, you know, kind of one-on-one, and then you guys can come together to have that healthy conversation, I think that'd be best too.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for this. It's definitely something I can see being useful for anyone, not just caregivers out there, but anyone who has an important role in the life of a youth of any age. It's important that we're there as that supportive adult mentor to help guide them through their emotions, because we know that I think I counted on my calendar today, we're in week 11 of being at home, and there's a lot of emotions going on right now, from those who are graduating and not being able to have those experiences to those young people who look forward to those friends and relationships that they're not able to have. So these emotions are being placed in front of all of us, and as people re-enter back to being involved and with people face to face, it's our obligation, troop leaders, parents, teachers, whoever you are, to just take a moment and make sure we do respond to those emotional signals that we see coming from these young people. We don't want them to feel like we're sequestering them or making them feel like their emotions aren't important. So take that time, stop and talk to them, because that's why you've been placed in their lives, to be that support for them. So feel free after this, if you want some more guidance, some more support, some more resources on how to be that supportive adult mentor, reach out to Kellen Foundation. They are a great resource. And as Emily said earlier, they have tons of resources on their website. If coming to see us on Peaks of Piedmont Council once a week for Wellness Wednesday isn't enough, there's tons of things. Emily, if you don't mind, because I know we have some different viewers on right now, share with them all the resources that you all have available for us.
So some of our virtual villages include, and Jesse, please help me if I forget some. There is a college one for college graduates, college students who may be struggling with going back to school, what their schedule is going to be like for next year. It could be from living arrangements, because some people were kicked out of dorms so suddenly. There's a high school graduate one, just kind of processing feelings about not getting that potentially graduation. How are they going to go to college now, kind of figuring out what that roadmap looks like for them now, because some of that may has changed. We have
parent groups.
Parents, yes.
Yes, we have parent groups.
Others.
Yes, we have parent groups. We have teacher groups. We have groups for first responders and cancer survivors. That's not together; those are separate. And I feel like we're probably missing a few, but basically, if you check out, yeah, it's all on our Facebook page. So if you check out Kellen Foundation's Facebook page, we have our virtual village schedule up every week.
Great, wonderful. Thank you, ladies, both again for joining in with us and sharing this amazing resource. If you have any questions related to Girl Scouts, I can't answer all those things about wellness and emotional coaching, but if you have questions about Girl Scouts, Erin Bracey has put our information in the comments there. So feel free to email us, info@girlscoutsp2p.org. If you're unsure about how to have these conversations as a troop leader, or how much is too much to have in that troop leader setting, we can also provide you some guidance from our safety activity checkpoints on sensitive issues, or if maybe you want some advice on how to take that next step, if you're finding some emotions to be something that you're not capable of responding to and you need some professional guidance on that, feel free to reach out to us. Also, give us a call at 1-800-672-2148. We are here to help you out because together we are better. So thank you again, Kellen Foundation, for again another phenomenal topic. And I hope to see all of you again next week. Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.